What is going on, everybody? Hello and welcome all to the Spooky Horror Show. I am your host, Sean, and I'm here with Anthony. Tonight, we will be reviewing and spoiling The Hills Have Eyes, a 1977 American horror film written, directed, and edited by Wes Craven. Before we get into all of that, Anthony, how's your week been?
It's been okay.
Just okay?
It's been kind of shitty. Work's been slow. So it's always a fucking bad week when it's slow.
Yeah.
Around. What about you? What do you got going on?
Well, the diet's done, thank God. I managed to get the last week's podcast like completely finished by Wednesday. So
you haven't been able to do that in a while.
But yeah, I mean, besides that, I managed to have time to get episodes up on my gaming YouTube channel. I'm designing a new logo for us.
Sweet.
And I got to play some games. Like I was super happy that like I was finally able to like sit down and play some
Your
games.
own games though, yeah.
Yeah.
Streaming, dude, it sucks sometimes. It's like I want to play a certain game, and you have so much other shit to do.
Yeah. Well,
I saw you on Cyberpunk, and I was like, he's playing that. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So, the last 2 weeks has been if I'm playing a video game, it's only for stream. That's it. And that sucks. The rest of the time I'm sitting here, I'm editing, I'm doing like businessy shit on the side. But all right, let's get into some of these facts. The Hills Have Eyes was written and directed, and as I said before, also edited by horror legend Wes Craven, who had also made Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street. The Hills Have Eyes had a budget of $350,000 to $700,000. That's a huge gap. Yeah, that's a really
like we might have a lot of fuck up, or we need to change a lot of shit. So
yeah.
So like right here, maybe.
But
we won't go over to here, but we might go to right here.
Yeah, but it had a total box office of 25 million, so decent profit.
Yeah.
I remember reading and stuff that it said that it wasn't a flop, but it wasn't a box office hit. I'm assuming that's because I think it released in July. And then
in July, that's a hard opening in July. That you need to post it to October.
Yeah, and then by October it made 2 million.
See what I'm saying? Like it.
So it's like I think it's like it might be like over the course of its life it made 25 million, because I find it really hard to believe that in the short in like this, because this came out in 77. I really don't see something like this making $25 million. But it could. I couldn't really find actual like estimates for like time runs, so I don't know. But it stars Susan Lehner, Michael Berryman, and Dee Wallace. Those are just 3 of the notable cast members. Obviously, Michael Berryman is probably the most prolific.
Iconic one.
Well, him and Dee Wallace. Like Dee Wallace is in like everything. But Michael Berryman is, as for video watchers of the podcast, is the guy on the title card thing right there for The Hills Have Eyes. That is Michael Berryman. He's been in a lot of stuff. He plays Pluto in this. Production began in 1976 and was shot in Victorville, California, in the Mojave Desert. It was shot on 16 millimeter film on cameras borrowed from a Californian filmmaker of the pornographic variety.
That's why it's so gritty. All right.
Yeah. It wasn't shot on 35.
Originally it was gritty, and then right now it's just as gritty.
Yeah, it's there's I don't think there's any blowing this up to get it to a point where it looks good. It's just like no.
It's just done.
Yeah. But yeah, the shoot was severely unpleasant for the actors due to daytime temperatures of over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, and at night it dropped to around 30 degrees. That's really it for production. I don't really know how many weeks it shot for. There's some other stuff that we can go into later in the fun facts section, but for now that's about it. So, Anthony, what is your spoiler-free review of 1977's The Hills Have Eyes?
I picked it. I honestly, I like it. I like it because I watched it when I was younger, and then I saw the remake and stuff like that, and they made a bunch of other ones of these, and just as terrible. But that's what they kind of were. I mean, that's what they kind of were when you're growing up. We knew what we had it. It was suspenseful. It was scary. You don't see a lot. That's your suspense, because a lot of like Stephen King and them, they didn't do gory fucking film, but they
Yeah.
gave you just a little bit and then a lot of scare and suspense. So I
Yeah.
liked it. I mean, it's very hard to watch now. Like, I'm like, is it my glasses? Why is it so fucking blurry? Like, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no matter what, the way you see that trailer, people, when we were showing trailers, that's exactly how the fucking movie looks.
Yeah. I'm probably right there with you. I didn't hate it as much as I was going to. I know I had seen it like way back in the day.
Yeah, when we were kids, we saw that thing.
I remember, honestly, I remember I think it's the Michael Bay remake more than this one. Like I remember Berryman. Like I remember him because he was always a thing, and he might have even been in the remake. I don't remember. But what I do remember is everyone saying that this was a rape revenge film, which is kind of like,
I don't really kind of go with that.
Yeah, and I was starting to think, well, Wes Craven's other film, like his first film was Last House on the Left, which was a rape revenge film, and I was just
that is one, yeah.
And I was like, I really don't want to watch another one. This wasn't bad. It went really quick.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew ahead of time because I'm never doing that again. That was so fucking awkward.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like it was fun to watch. It went fast. The acting is not good.
Bro, it's the time period. Did you expect
no
thing?
No,
Looks like it was filmed by a high school student. Like,
yeah, it was the acting, like the concept of it is cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. It's fun to watch. If you're okay with more graphic scenes, I would recommend watching the remake over this, because even though this originally received an X rating, me personally, this is like a PG-13 film.
You fucker, I was gonna say that when you were done.
Yeah.
Well, see, the only issue I would see with that in that rating it might still be R because of that really sloppy, I guess rape or a lot of dry humping.
They say it's a rape scene. It's not. There's no rape. He might have written it to be a rape scene. It's not a rape scene. It's not.
The scene was not graphic, but
yeah, she had a blanket over, and
they were basically kind of holding her down with a blanket, you know.
Yeah, so it's
like
it's whatever.
From, Game Over, man.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah. So I would probably say this is another 3 out of 5, right?
Yeah. No, I want 4.
You want 4?
I'll go with 4. I like it.
All right, 3.5.
I'll compromise with 3.5. That's a good.
Because I only say 3 because the majority of the film nothing happens.
Yeah, could you not remember how slow those were back in the day?
Yeah.
They were very slow and suspenseful.
You're gonna talk to me about slow and suspenseful when I give you slow and suspenseful, like good, like 90% on Rotten Tomato films, and you're like, bro, it was so boring. Then you get this where nothing happens and you're squinting the whole time because you're like, is it my glasses?
No, honestly, I think it's because I always liked the film, so I'm like very partial to it. So I'm like being biased.
Yeah,
I know.
But I would definitely go 3.5. Like 3.5 is good. But all right, let's do some spoilers. Hey, so we are in a desolate Nevada town. Even though this is filmed in California, we're in Nevada. Fred of Fred's Oasis is closing up shop and moving on. Ruby comes stumbling out begging for a trade, but Fred wants no part of it, as her family's been looting the wrong places, and now cops and the Air Force have been doing sweeps of the area. So, yeah, so he wants out. He wants no part of this. Ruby wants to leave the area too, but Fred says that Jupiter will cut her up if he found out she was trying to leave. Cut to the suburban Carter family traveling on vacation, towing a trailer en route to Los Angeles. Parents Bob and Ethel are driving, accompanied by their teenage children, Bobby and Brenda, and their eldest daughter, Lynn.
I'm sorry, that other blonde, that ain't no goddamn teenager. That actress is not a teenager.
Which one? The older daughter? Which
no,
one?
No. The young blonde one.
Oh,
They needed to cast someone that looked a little younger because
yeah.
that was not a believable teenager.
Yeah, I'm sure by teenager they probably mean like 18. Because
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I think Bobby and Brenda are supposed to be twins. That's why they're named
They look
Bobby and
older,
Brenda.
though.
Yeah. But Lynn, the eldest daughter, is also accompanied by her husband Doug and their baby Katie, who's a newborn. They also have the family dogs Beauty and Beast. And for some odd reason, I still don't exactly know why. I don't know if they ever explained it in the movie. But Bob wants to take the family on the way to California to a silver mine for some stupid reason.
Inherited. Yeah,
Did they inherit it?
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be. I think her uncle passed it down or something like that, and he wanted to check on the way down to see if there's any silver left in the mine to make a profit. But when you find out from that guy, it was like over 40 years ago they closed down.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an inherited type thing. Continue.
So they're taking them. He wants to go to that silver mine. So they stop off at Fred's oasis for fuel, and Fred tells them to not even bother with the silver mine. It's been dried up the entire time. Just drive to California. Stay on the main road. Yeah, so they're leaving, and even as they're leaving, Fred is still yelling at him to just stay on the main road.
Let's go.
As they finish leaving, Fred's truck explodes, and he runs inside, and like the girl's gone, and there's a bloody handprint on the door. He runs his hand over the blood print, the handprint, and it doesn't smear, which means it's been dried a while. I don't get it. But more importantly, how did they not hear that truck explode?
Who didn't hear? The family?
Yeah. There was an explosion in the middle of nowhere. You're going to hear that. They weren't that far away.
But dude, it's like Texas. You don't, I mean, they haven't hit the hills yet. And you saw the land. It's just fucking flat. So what's it echoing off? But you are right, though. How fast were they traveling that way when it like blew up like a meter left?
Yeah.
No one was like had situational awareness. It was like, what the? You didn't feel that reverb?
But yeah. So Fred's truck blows up, and they're still driving, and Bob just dismisses Fred's warning as a crazy person's rambling. Bob won't admit that he's lost, like every machismo man in the fucking 60s, 70s, 50s, 20s. Basically the bullshit that a man can't admit when he's lost. As they're driving and he's getting all flustered with that, everyone is startled by a jet flying overhead because they're driving.
The most dramatic fucking scene I've ever seen in my life. Like you've never fucking heard a plane go by, and he's a detective.
Yeah, he's a. But I think he's a detective in
Bumblefuck nowhere.
No, because Lynn and Doug live in New York, and they keep complaining about, you're a smoker and you're cursing because you're from New York now. Oh, you've been there too long. Blah blah blah.
Maybe Brooklyn. Wasn't it Brooklyn? No.
I don't know. But then they're traveling to California. I don't know if it's a straight vacation that they're going on or if Bobby and Brenda are going to be going to school there. I don't remember. All I know is when the jet flies overhead, because again, they're driving. There is an Air Force base close. It's like I think Nellis Air Force Range or something like that.
It is the Air Force base.
Yeah. Because nobody lives there. But the jet flies overhead, and instead of like slowing down or looking at it and being like, oh man, they're like, oh my god, and it's like, what? It's like, what is going on right now? Like, so instead of slowing down, he decides the best option is to drive like a fucking maniac. Dude, like, what are you doing, man?
That shit. He floors. I'm like, what is he doing? Why would you go faster? You're on a dirt road.
It's like, and
all of the scenes show him erratically like going off the
he's
road.
Like, It's I don't get it. I don't fucking get it, man. It's you just sitting there.
The elusive hair pops out of nowhere, and he swerves and nearly kills his family from our fucking rabbit.
Nope. You know what they teach you? If there's an animal on the road, you just hit it.
I'm a vegan. Hit the fucking animal. I'm not wanting to hit it, but I'm guaranteeing that all of us will die if I swerve. Like,
you will always cause more damage if you swerve to avoid instead of just hitting. But okay, so that happens. He swerves, they crash, he cracks an axle, They get out to check to make sure everyone's okay, and the dogs immediately become very panicky and start barking at the hills. Now, that's understandable because besides the fact that there are people fucking watching them, they were probably thrown around in that fucking in that trailer instead of like being in the car with everyone. They're just in the fucking trailer. I think in the trailer it's the dogs and Doug.
Yeah.
But Beauty in particular just won't stop fucking barking. Bob walks Reds. No. So they check the tire. The axle's broken, so they can't go anywhere. So they come up with a plan that, looking at the map, Old Man Bob will walk back to Fred's, and Doug will go north towards the what looks like a base or some structure on the map. So basically he's heading for the army base.
Random structure in the middle of nowhere with no help.
Yeah, so what's his face? Old Man Bob gives his son Bobby his pistol, and
Have at it, boy.
Yeah, he gives him the pistol so that he can stay there and keep the women folk safe. Meanwhile, he takes his revolver and he heads towards back towards Fred's. They say to be back in like, I think like by dark. And they're like, I don't think we're gonna be back by dark. Yeah, you're not gonna be back by dark. But they say, I forget who. One of them says to Doug, shouldn't you take one of the guns? And even he's like, no, I'm just going up there. There's nothing up there. I'll go up. I'll get it. He's like, I would feel safer if there was a gun here. And then yeah, so they go their separate ways. Beauty is still freaking the fuck out. So to keep Beauty safe, Bobby locks her in the trailer while the rest of like the women and him like pretty much start getting food ready. This is where
I'm saying to myself, they're like cooking dinner and shit. I'm guessing they must have packed it. I was like, they had power in this trailer, but there were no generator.
Yeah, because I think like later when the power goes out, he's like, oh, the battery died. So it's probably just like a whole bunch of car batteries that are charging it.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Just knowing that it doesn't have an alternator to charge that. That was a stupid idea.
Yeah. The mom starts going on and on about God and how she has more faith in the Lord than gunpowder, blah, blah, blah. Basically, this woman lives in a fantasy world where nothing bad has ever happened to her because the magic man in the clouds is specifically looking over her.
So.
Yeah. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way, and it won't work out for her either.
You can send hate mail to Murdoch 12186 at gofuckyourself.com.
But yeah, it's like she's like, oh, we need to pray. We need to do some prayer before you leave. And it's like,
pray it away.
Even the kids are like, oh my god, I don't fucking care. Just stop.
Love that.
And it is a really good
generation needs to die out.
Yeah, it's a really good like juxtaposition between like how conservative like then with them and how like religious and stringent it is there, and then over with the cannibals it's all like, oh, we're gonna eat and fuck and take what we need and stuff like that. But I hated the mom. She was super fucking annoying. I hated her so much.
Her voice was annoying.
Yeah. Well, because I think on top of that, I think she had an overbite and a lisp, which doesn't fucking help.
Racking that in.
Yeah. But yeah. So they're making food. They're sitting around. They're joking about shit. Because like the dogs are to keep barking and like, well, it's really only Beauty. What's his face? Beast doesn't really bark. And Bobby's like, yeah, Beast doesn't bark until he's ready to attack. And then they start laughing about how the dad had to pay a ton of money in vet bills for a poodle that Beast attacked. And they're laughing and having such a good time. Like, are you kidding me? You're basically laughing and joking about, hey, our property attacked another person's property. Isn't it funny? It's like fucking stupid. I hate this whole fucking family. Brenda, being the dumbass that she is, goes and opens the door and lets Beauty out, and she just goes fucking running for the hills. So Bobby runs after her, after the dog. It's just awkward. It's his whole run is just awkward. I don't. Yeah, and I'll try. Do we have a little video of him? I don't have a video of him running. I have a video of him crying later that I wanted to bring up. That just
Oh
yeah.
god.
Yeah, I have that shit time stamped already. It's like I saw it and I was like, he should never
That
act.
man's career.
Yeah, no. But where were we? So yeah, so he runs after Beauty. He runs up into the hills. It's all rocky mountainous and all that bullshit. He climbs up some and ends up finding Beauty's mutilated body. Just all cut open, and I forget what it's called. Angel winged? It's basically blood eagled. Yeah.
Oh, I kind of thought it just had the innards just pulled.
No, it was cut and spread open.
Oh, that's called a bloody.
So obviously, trying to find your dog, you're fucking freaked the fuck out by by finding her like that. He runs away and jumps over some rocks and everything, but eventually just falls and knocks himself unconscious. I feel like that would have killed him. It doesn't.
I said the same thing. I was like, that's a pretty harsh ass fucking drop, right?
Yeah, you see, it's like he falls, he cracks his head. I'm assuming on a rock, because how do you fall and knock yourself unconscious if you don't actually hit something?
Well, no, if he hit the floor, like if he hit it a certain way, might have jostled him.
But his
concussion is your brain hitting.
Yeah.
Hitting your
But yeah. So now it is nighttime. Brenda finds Body. He's still shaken up about Beauty, but he returns to the trailer and doesn't mention anything about finding her fucking ripped open. But yeah, so he doesn't tell anyone about Beauty because he doesn't want to freak anyone else out, and it's understandable. because the one that I don't want to hear freaked out is Brenda, because her voice is so fucking annoying. Once she starts screaming, it's like, is there a way for me to just mute her? Bob reaches the gas station and finds Fred trying to hang himself. He gets him down and Fred tells him about
doing that.
I know. It's like, if you were gonna shoot me, why would you hang yourself, or some stupid fucking shit like that.
Well, he had a point too.
Well, because he took a shot at him, right?
Yeah, he shot to the door too. He's like, "What the hell would you shoot me then?"
Fred tells him the story about his son Jupiter, how at birth Jupiter almost killed his mother, coming out sideways and hairy or some bullshit. As a child, Jupiter killed the family's livestock and then later murdered his sister. Fred beat Jupiter with a tire iron and left him for dead on the hills. However, that did not kill him. Jupiter survived, so I don't even know like how old was Jupiter supposed to be.
Do you know what? It never says his age, because the problem with that is if it was a child and with an open wound, he probably wouldn't be surviving in the wild. Yeah. And then if there was an adult bleeding out, it doesn't make any sense.
There's no timeline given, so you can't really tell, because
it has to be enough for that he could, I guess, enough to grab and hold shit and kill people.
Yeah,
be a baby.
Because Jupiter survives, and he's had children with a depraved alcoholic prostitute known as Mama. Together, they have 3 sons, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury, or as Pluto keeps saying, Murray? It's like, are you calling him Murray? I don't know what you're saying. And their abused daughter, Ruby. The family survives by cannibalizing travelers, stealing supplies. And just as Fred finishes telling this story, or I'm sure there might have been more, Jupiter suddenly crashes through the window and kills Fred with a tire iron. Bob tries running back to the family, but is having problems, probably because he's in the middle of a heart attack. Watching him run was so funny.
Oh, it was fucking hilarious. It's like, this guy thought he was going to go out and on his own. He should have probably brought somebody, because he would be the first one to drop fucking dead.
Yeah, it's like, dude.
Didn't they just get done saying in the beginning of this that, like, he just is retiring
because of his heart
attack he just had? Not like he's a recovering one from years ago. Like, he recently just got
had the yep. But yeah, so Bob is trying to run back. He's having a mild heart attack. Jupiter is just taunting him. I don't know what the hell he's saying. He's saying stuff like, "Oh, I'ma get you. Ooh, I'ma get you." Some stupid shit like that. Bob collapses to the ground in exhaustion and probably his ticker finally giving out. He fires a couple of rounds into the darkness when Jupiter comes out and takes his gun, and then he just passes out, cut to black. Fred arrives back at base camp with supplies, almost getting shot by Bobby, because Bobby's now all fucking manic because of Beauty. Beast, who broke free, tracks down Beauty, and that's about it for the dog for now. Some shit with Mama being mad at Ruby, and then we cut back to the suburban family. They're getting ready to turn in for the night, but Bobby's worried his dad isn't back yet, so Doug is all like, look, if he's not back by 9:30, well, first it was if he's not back by 9:30, we'll go look for him. And then they talk a little bit more, and then his wife comes out of the bathroom and he's about to get some pussy, so he's like, all right, if he's not back by 11,
Okay,
we'll go look. Yeah.
You should be all right. I'm only gonna be about 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
At first it was 9:30, and then
where the fuck are you doing any of this?
the station wagon. That's why everyone is sleeping in the camper.
And then, so what? You're willing to let it rock around, and then
hell
have the
yeah,
station wagon rock around?
Yeah, hell yeah, why not? But yeah. So Doug and Lynn go to the station wagon to sleep. Meanwhile, Pluto is. Yeah. Pluto is stealing gas from the station wagon while he listens to them fuck. Bobby thinks he can hear Beast, so he goes out looking for him. Why? Something just tore your dog up. Why are you running into the dark with no light and just a gun? That is so fucking stupid.
That's the American way right there, man.
I know, right?
Ask, question, waiter, you know?
Yeah.
Come on now.
But yeah, so
plus that guy is really fucking hot on that trigger though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I just love how, what was it, Doug? I don't know, fucking Walloways. I love how when he pulled up and he's behind the station wagon, just dead aiming at him. Yep. Doug was real chill about that. I'd be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And he was slow to bring it away. I was like, what the fuck is he doing?
You've already seen who the fuck it is. What are you talking about?
Why are you still pointing at him? Fuck that. Continue.
He's running around. It's not Beast. It's a cannibal following him, making noises. I think he finally realizes it when he suddenly hears like
dog related sounds.
Yeah, he's starting to hear like a cow, and I think there's like the mooing. Yeah, there's mooing, and I think there's like the bleating of a sheep.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that's when he runs back like a psychopath. While this is happening, Pluto sneaks into the trailer and begins raiding their supplies, and he's not quiet about it.
No. Why would he?
So
it's like 3 brain cells, chromosomes away from fucking.
So Doug and Lynn are fucking in the station wagon, so obviously they wouldn't hear it. But the baby is in there, not asleep. Brenda is in there. No, he's not crying yet. Brenda's in there sleeping, and the mom is, I think, asleep on the couch in the front.
Have to be. That's what I'm saying. It's like a weird
so how do you not hear him opening and closing cabinets and just like throwing stuff and
like front door?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's weird, but it's whatever. Bobby's now locked out, and he's like knocking on the door to be let in. No one's letting him in, but Pluto's standing there holding the door just to make sure, just in case anything happens. So he decides, instead of like really banging on the door and being like, let me fucking in, he decides, you know what? I'm gonna be a cock block. I'm just gonna go bother Doug and Lynn and get that. And just walks up and like knocks on it. Like they're mid thrust. Like your sister's in the middle of getting fucked and you just walk up to the window knocking on it? Like that's weird. That's fucking weird. But this is when Doug finally breaks down and has his ugly cry, because they're like, you know, he's like, I heard a noise, and they're like, well, it's probably Beast, and he's like, well, it's not Beast, and Doug's like, well, you know Beauty cries, like she like cries like that a lot when she's barking, and he's like, it's not Beauty, and then they like kind of look at him and they're like, what the fuck's the matter with you? And then he starts crying, and now,
oh no, you got it. Oh, play the whole cry scene.
Beauty's dead. What? Beauty's been dead since this afternoon.
Beauty's dead.
God, it looks like Wallowitz.
Yeah, it is dead.
What happened? Why didn't you tell us sooner?
But yeah, do you see
You hear him snotting?
Yeah, it's like when he did, like the whole time he was talking and yelling, it's as if his teeth are 12 feet away from his lips. Everything, like when he talks, like it's like a I can't even do it. It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. And
now that you pointed it out,
right? And then he's crying. It's like I couldn't stop. I was basically just staring at it like this. I was like, what the fuck is this doing? why are you crying like this? What is that? And then when he does
Why you
the,
just put out?
when he's like, Dad, I was like, what
Just
is
throw it out
that? It's like, what the fuck is going on right now? Holy shit. So now that we're done with that fucking crying scene, Jesus Christ. Pluto is on top of Brenda. He hasn't actually pounced, but he's like right by the edge of the bed, which I can feel when someone's on my bed when I'm asleep.
Yes.
So it's
Even
like,
though I have one of those foam mat, I kind of still, you get the sense of it.
he calls to Jupiter. He's like, now, and pulls the curtain around him, and then Jupiter lights Bob on fire as a distraction, and there's a loud explosion, and then Ethel freaks out and like jumps up and runs out and everything. How is there an explosion when all he did was light him on fire with gasoline? That's all that there was. There would be no explosion. And if there wasn't, and if there was,
don't explode when they roll. Like,
yeah,
it's not
like,
that often.
and also if there was an explosion, the explosion would have killed him.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be like, okay, well, now there's a fire, and he's like, oh, help me. Oh, gee, oh. Like, no, the explosion would have either killed him or knocked him out and fucking, yeah. But Ethel, Lynn, Doug, and Bobby rush to go save Bob and yell for Brenda to watch the baby. The Carters eventually extinguish the fire, but Bob dies shortly afterwards because his entire body was engulfed in fucking flames.
Well, yeah.
This mother is...
In fact, his lungs probably started to fucking heat up.
Yeah, but like this mother is... I don't like her. I think she's a terrible, terrible actress. And all she keeps doing is repeating, that's not my Bob. That's not my Bob. Oh, I don't know who that is. That's not my Bob. But it's, her voice is just so fucking annoying. Just have her say it once and move her along. Like, I don't know. I couldn't get over the dialogue and the acting of some of the people, like Doug, your what is his name? Wallowitz?
Wallowitz, yeah.
I think he looks like Sonny Bono, but
He does.
which is probably, you know, of the time. Because it's the 70s.
Sure, that's probably why he looks like that, like that helmet haircut.
But yeah, I just didn't like the mom. So yeah, they put the fire out. She's in shock. They're heading back to, who is it? Lynn and Ethel are heading back to the trailer while Bobby and Doug take care of Bob. They get back, and when they get inside, no, they're not back yet. Because while they're heading back, Pluto is attempting to rape Brenda. And I say attempting to rape. Now, a lot of people say that this is a rape revenge film, but I have problems with that. There isn't
over the sheet.
Yeah, one, it's over the sheet. Two, there isn't enough time for anything. Three, when as the explosion happens and everyone runs, Mars comes inside and starts like eating stuff and collecting like the bullets and shit like that. He finds Pluto on top of the sheets that Brenda is under, and he throws him off.
Yeah.
His pants aren't unzipped. His pants aren't around his ankles. There's nothing. He's fully clothed. So
even like mocking the scene, it doesn't set it up.
Yeah. So when Mars throws Pluto off of her, he starts belittling her, which causes him to just stand up and start wrecking stuff. So again, he's still fully clothed. So there's no possible way that a rape had occurred when she's under covers and a blanket and he's fully clothed. Plus the fact that she's fighting the entire time and not like, no, like she's kicking her legs around. She's fucking fighting with her hands. And then, what's his face? Mars is all like, you can't fuck her or something. It ain't your time, little boy, or something. I don't know. He was saying something fucking stupid. So then Mars is all like, and then it's still the same thing. But Brenda is like kicking her legs, and it's just it. I would say like
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I would say like she was the victim of assault, but an actual penetration never happened. It was going to happen if no one stopped it, which would traumatize her regardless. Because when he got on top of her to like start doing all that, it was like less than a minute later, Ethel and Lynn show up at the camper, and then that whole shit goes down. Oh, that's the thing that I wanted to bring up. The remake of this is way darker. So
No.
so
It takes a turn.
this is a 2. This is a 2. That remake is an 11. Like in that scene, you can confidently say
time period.
that girl was raped. And do they end up like fucking dead bodies too? I don't remember in the remake.
The family. The family.
Yeah,
I
back
don't
at the
remember.
camp.
I remember they implied that, but I don't think they showed that.
Yeah, I don't remember what movie. There's a lot of weird horror movies that involve cannibals. That might have been a Wrong Turn movie, like one of those sequels.
Oh.
But I don't remember, because they all just fucking go together. But that's why I said if you can stomach a little bit, well, a lot more gore and everything, I feel like the way, in contrast, the way this was shot and everything was done, PG-13, whereas the remake would be like a hard R close to X. Like that's the varying in quality. Back in the day, people were little pussies. Don't watch it. I don't care about your disposition. Just don't fucking watch it. Ethel and Lynn return, and Mars shoots them both. Lynn manages to, Ethel kicks a knife to Lynn, and then Lynn stabs Mars in the thigh. And I think she stabs him twice. Me personally, I would have stabbed him in the dick. Whatever. So that's all happening. Pluto runs off with the baby, because they're gonna eat it later. And then Mars.
That or they raise it as their own.
I think they say later on that, like, I brought us dinner. It's like a turkey. Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Gotta love it.
Pluto's outside. Ethel is shot. She's, I think, she's mortally wounded. And Lynn is dead. She was shot, I think, twice in the chest. Mars grabs Brenda, who's still just, all she's doing is screaming. She's screaming and, like, thrashing and, like, just doing that. And it's like, I don't fucking get what, like, I don't care. He brings her outside and she's still fighting, but now he can see Doug and Bobby running back. So with them running back, he puts the gun in her mouth and goes to shoot, but he's out of bullets because apparently they can't count, and tells her, I'll be back for you later. And then he runs away. I feel like he should have been hobbling because he was stabbed in the leg.
Stabbed in the leg, but that superhuman mutant strength.
Yep. But Doug and Bobby get there and they find Brenda traumatized outside the trailer, Lynn dead, and their mother pretty much slowly dying. Beast then tracks Mars and Pluto and spots Mercury up on a hill. And when they're doing, when they're talking about like eating the baby, and Mercury starts talking about if I do that silly joke about I'ma eat your toes, ha ha ha, that make everyone laugh. And Pluto's all like, Murray, yeah, everyone always laugh at you, ha ha ha. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck any of this is. But
it's the mutant people trying to have a family gathering.
Yeah, sure.
It's their time to bond over a freshly baked baby.
Yeah, if they even bake it. So I was gonna say Mercury. Mars and Pluto continue on to the cave house, whatever the fuck they got. And while Mercury's not looking, a Beast runs up and pushes his ass off the mountain, and then takes his walkie-talkie and runs it back to the family. Jupiter shows up and he's super fucking.
Dogs are just that simple to train.
Yeah, I know, right? Jupiter shows up back at the house or cave, whatever, and he's super fucking weird to Ruby. I'm assuming he's fucking her because I'm assuming there's no. Well, that's my daughter. I can't. It's like they're gonna keep the family going, you know. Which is probably another reason why she wants to leave.
She's trying to get out. Yeah, he's coming of that age where he's going to start procreating through her.
Jupiter tells Ruby that he killed Fred because she was talking to him about leaving. He's worried that, who is it? Yeah. So Jupiter's worried that Mercury isn't answering his walkie, so Pluto goes looking for him because he said he heard something fall. He assumed it was rocks. So he goes, and then Jupiter is talking to Mars. And it's like, you killed everyone, and he's like, so now they're making plans to go back and kill everyone.
Finish the job.
Yeah. Beast gets the walkie back. They can hear their voices, and Trigger Happy Bobby just fires into the door. and they can still hear the
I would
voices.
just hit anything.
Yeah, so they hear the voices and they go out, they find the walkie, and then they're looking around like, what was that? And then Beast jumps on Doug and he's like, what are you doing, Beast? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm assuming they're supposed to be Southern because they have a weird drawl.
A small one, yeah.
So now Bobby and Fred are listening in. They hear Pluto found Mercury at the bottom of the pit, a cliff, whatever, with his chest ripped open. So Pluto already knows it was the dog. So now Jupiter is being really weird and he's talking, you came after my young, you thought you were smart, you thought blah blah blah. And then it shows that he's basically talking to while eating the head of Bob. Next morning, shortly after Ethel dies, Doug sets out with Beast to find Katie, the baby, while Papa Jupiter, which is what they call him, and Pluto set out to kill the remaining family. What's his face? Mars stays back with Ruby and Mama because he's injured. So I guess he's like protecting. Yeah, because like they were calling, I guess they figured, well, since the family's all dead, we don't need a lookout anymore. That's why they were calling for Mercury to come back. But now that they're not, yeah. Well, now that he knows that they're not dead and Mercury's dead, they have to go out, but they can't bring fucking Mars because he's fucking hurt. So he just stays back. Doug watches as they run past them to head towards the not the RV, the trailer. And then Beast like whimpers. Wouldn't they have heard that?
You would think.
But no, they don't, and they keep going, and he keeps heading towards their area. Well, what's going on? Okay, so Doug is trying to call Bobby, but Bobby doesn't have his radio on. He's trying to use the CB radio to call for help, and then the whole time, fucking Brenda... No, she's not doing it yet. Pluto basically tricks Bobby into telling them that they have no defensive capabilities. They got like 2 bullets left in this fucking gun. I think Fred can hear too. Not Fred. Doug. But no, I don't think Doug can hear. No, Doug can't hear it because he's on a different channel. So when they're gloating about it, they're gloating to Mars, and Doug overhears Mars and he's trying to tell him like, hey, they're coming for you. They know, but it's not. But when Pluto on the radio is like, ha ha, stand on your head, ha ha, we're coming to get you. Fucking Brenda again. She just starts screaming at the top of her lungs, clipping everything, and doing this for some reason.
She's actually gonna make sure that they die quicker.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't know she was gonna flash dance her way into saving everyone. Like, I don't fucking get it. Like, what are you doing? Did you notice every time she started screaming, she just started like throwing her shoulders around? It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
You did say the acting wasn't that great in this.
Man, it wasn't. Beast is sneaking up on Pluto and Jupiter. Jupiter can hear something and he doesn't quite know what it is, so he's staying back to try to like figure out what it is. Mars keeps going a little bit more, and then fucking Beast comes out of nowhere, fucking grabs his leg and starts fucking tearing at it. After a while of being mauled by this dog, Jupiter finally comes back and fires a couple of shots. Nothing hits the dog, thank God. The dog runs off, and they take a look at Pluto's leg, and his Achilles tendon is just... It's done. that sucker's a goner. I'm assuming Jupiter tells Pluto to go back. There's nothing there where he's like, hey, you head back to the house. But it's like, it's a scene, they're looking at each other. He can see his Achilles tendon, and he's like looking, and Pluto's all like, oh. And then it just cuts to Pluto walking by himself. So I'm assuming he's heading back to camp. Because he's injured, Jupiter tells Mars to kill the baby. When Fred hears this, he just starts running in. Katie! Katie! Why are you yelling? Like, what the fuck?
Because they all don't want to stop and think.
But Mars yells for Ruby to bring the baby. And she's like, it's fine here, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to see it. So he hands her the baby, and he's like being really fucking like violent with it when he puts it down. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, I hope that's like a doll or something.
Oh, no, it's a doll. It's a doll.
Yeah, but I was just like, that's just like fucking weird. And then you find out like it's not the baby. Ruby swapped it out because Ruby isn't a piece of shit, and she's running off trying to keep that baby safe. I mean, she's not. She's doing what her family is telling her to do, but she's like, she doesn't want to eat people. She doesn't want to be around any of them. She's hard. She's
she's the newest breed that hasn't been that inbred.
Yeah, so it's like the whole reason she was chained up was like she was sympathizing with the family and everything. So it's like she doesn't want any part of this, and she definitely doesn't want baby blood on her hands. So she takes the baby and she just starts running. Mars gives chase, so I guess his leg isn't as hurt as we were led to believe, even though it was a deep cut into his thigh. Whatever. Beast is now hunting his prey. Pluto, alone in the middle of this desert, can hear the dog. He sees him for a second and then turns around and tries to hide, and then Beast hides, and then out of nowhere, Pluto is scared, probably by that same fucking rabbit from the beginning, and then
That fucking killed them all.
yeah, and then Beast comes out and fucking bites his fucking throat out. So now we are down Mercury and Pluto on the cannibal side, and a whole lot more on the fucking suburban side. Brenda and Bobby are using Ethel's corpse as a trap for Mars. They basically have a snare trap hidden underneath some dirt, and they're hoping to use that rope that Doug found at the, I guess, the trash heap. They tie it around one of the rims of the car, and they're gonna turn the car on and then just gun it so that it just grabs and drags them. The car doesn't start automatically. When it finally does start and they drag them, it goes for a while. Everything seems to be working. They're very happy about it. A little bit like too happy, but it's kind of understandable. And then it just stops because the car is out of gas. How the fuck is... Oh, they siphoned the gas. Never mind. I was about to be like, how the fuck are they out of gas already? They just filled up at a gas station. And it's, yeah, because Pluto sucked the gas out. So never mind. We're gonna take that part out. The car runs out of gas, and Jupiter is getting back to his feet. His clothes are all fucked up and everything. So Bobby and Brenda they run into the trailer, and Brenda goes out the back window, and Bobby makes sure that the trap they set with the matches taped to the door with the striker on the bottom, and the propane tanks are just filling up. Yeah, you could just strike it, starts, boom.
They don't always just do that on one thing. They would break if it's just taped there.
I know, but I mean, it doesn't matter. They sneak out, they run, they're looking. They wait for Jupiter to open the door, so there's a boom, but Jupiter waits and listens so you can hear the gas. But there ends up being a kaboom anyway, so I don't know how he was able to open the door so there was the explosion, but he took like no damage from it, like no damage whatsoever. Bobby wants us to make sure that he's dead and to go confirm it, but Brenda is doing her yell and her fucking shoulder thing again. And follows after him anyway. Jupiter grabs Bobby and does some wrestling moves to him. And while Jupiter is beating the shit out of Bobby, Brenda comes up behind with an axe and just chops the fucking shit out of his back. And then Bobby shoots him twice in the chest, and then he's dead. So Papa Jupiter is donezo. Doug and Ruby now, we cut back to them. They are running away from Mars, but he's catching up, even though his leg is fucked up. up a mountain. Bleeding? Up a mountain. Doug gives Katie to Ruby and tells her to just run. While she's running, Doug surprise attacks Mars and follows him a little bit, and they attack a little bit, and then he runs. Ruby's hiding in a cave, and then Doug gets trapped in an area that is, as Mars points out, where rattlesnakes breed. So that's fun. Yeah. Ruby hearing this
had me like, you kidding me?
Yeah. Ruby hearing this puts the baby someplace safe, and then she goes to help Doug by acting as like a diversion. It works for a little bit until Mars starts to hear the baby crying and he runs for the baby. Now, here's my thing. Ruby is hiding in like a cubbyhole cave, right? Doug runs past her into another area, and then Mars goes there and blocks him in there. But when Ruby comes out to go help, and then they hear the baby crying, Mars then runs up the hill to get the baby. How did Ruby go around, go up, then come back? It's like that does... Someone didn't sit there and be like, okay, look, this is the area that we have to work with. We need to figure out blocking for this. It's just like, no, the baby's all the way up on that fucking hill. It's like, no, it's not. Stop it. Anyway, Doug and Ruby run after him.
Pointing that out. There.
Doug and Ruby run after him, and Doug lunges on him and starts hitting him. Mars gains the upper hand and tries to stab him a couple of times. That's kind of tense, the way like they were fighting, and like the knife goes shooting right down just as he dodges.
Yeah,
I was like, whoo!
Right there.
But Ruby catches a rattlesnake and uses it to bite Mars on the nape of the neck, enabling Doug to overpower him. And then Doug savagely stabs Mars to death while Ruby weeps. And that is the end of The Hills Have Eyes. That's it. It ends.
That's it. It ends.
There's no like, okay, well then the family all gets together and they decide to take Ruby in because like she helped. Like, no. It's just like, it doesn't even cut to black. Cut to red. It goes the end. So, fun facts of IMDb and some websites and articles are to be believed. While watching The Hills Have Eyes, director Sam Raimi noticed a ripped poster for Steven Spielberg's Jaws in a scene of the film. He took it to mean that Wes Craven was saying Jaws was just pop horror. What I have here is real horror. This inspired Raimi to include a ripped poster of The Hills Have Eyes in The Evil Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As a humorous way of telling Craven, no, this is real horror, pal. So then Craven reacted to this by having Nancy Thompson fall asleep while watching The Evil Dead in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Raimi responded that by including Freddy Krueger's glove in a scene in Evil Dead 2. Later, Wes Craven would have characters in the film Scream choose to watch a VHS copy of Halloween instead of a VHS copy of Evil Dead that they had. Then in the first, so they were basically saying, no, Halloween is better than Evil Dead. And then in the first season episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead, Krueger's glove can be glimpsed while a poster for The Hills Have Eyes can be seen outside of a movie theater in an episode of the show's second season. So
pretty cool to go a nice little friendly.
Yeah, so it's some ribbing back and forth.
Yeah.
After Wes Craven released Last House on the Left in 1972, he tried his hand at making films outside the horror genre. But according to the late director Wes Craven, nobody wanted to know about it. Nobody gave a shit. He needed money, and searching for a better career path, he finally answered the request of his friend and producer Peter Locke, who also played Mercury, to write a horror film. At that time, Locke's wife, Liz Torres, was performing regularly in Las Vegas, so Locke was frequently exposed to like desert landscapes and shit. He suggested that Craven set the film in the desert, and Wes Craven began to craft the screenplay. The budget was also a concern, so Craven constructed the film to feature a relatively small cast and very few locations. That is like
Definitely did that.
That is like indie horror, like 101.
Yeah.
Keep the cast of characters small and the locations to a minimum.
More money to get the other stuff in.
Yep.
As friendly as possible. Get your friends, get your cousins, get their cousins.
Yeah. Michael Berryman, who became a horror icon thanks to this film, was apparently game for just about anything. Though he personally told the producers he was born with 26 birth defects. Among those defects was a lack of sweat glands. Because he didn't have sweat glands, the intense desert heat was particularly hazardous to his health because he couldn't tell when he was like overheating and everything, so he can suffer heat stroke. He soldiered on. Even in intense action sequences, they always had to like cover him up as soon as they finished filming a scene.
With a wet blanket and shit.
Yeah, that's per Wes Craven. According to Peter Locke, the producer, the film's original scripted ending involved the surviving family members reuniting at the site of the trailer, including Doug and the baby, signifying that they had survived and they could finally look forward. Craven, though, opted for something more bleak, so the film ends with a shot of Doug brutally stabbing Mars, while Ruby just looks on in disgust, a reversal of the roles that the director liked.
Yeah.
So the ending was going to have them all meeting up together, but Craven was like, nah, let's just end it with him fucking murdering him.
Something different.
Like I said earlier, this film was supposed to get, well, actually, it did receive a X rating. Or what's now known as NC-17, by the MPAA, even though it's super fucking tame. This is a PG-13 movie by today's standards. Because it reached NC-17/X, it meant they had to cut large portions out. Significant footage was removed from the scene in which Jupiter kills Fred, the scene in which Pluto and Mars terrorized the trailer, and the final confrontation with Jupiter. All of those were cut shorter. So maybe the scene where Mars and Jupiter were supposed to have raped Brenda, it was a little bit more graphic, but in cutting so much of it, no rape happens. So it's like, that's good. Nobody wants to fucking see that.
We're not condoning it. We're just saying it doesn't make. Don't say this is what it is. It's just assault at that point.
Yeah. According to Wes Craven, the dead dog was real. They bought a dead dog from the county, and he's like, just leave, and he's like, and leave it at that. So the dead dog that Bobby finds, that's a real dead dog, which is gross.
In the middle of the fucking desert, that's not.
Yeah. For the role of Ruby, the filmmakers needed an actress who could pull off the flighty and feral character. Convincingly so, in the words of Peter Locke, we had sprints. The actresses who were trying to get that role had to race each other, which the actress who ends up playing her won. So because she was faster than everyone else, she won. The what?
What would be the relevance of that?
She has to run around. She has to be flighty and gross and feral and quick. So they wanted someone that was fast and quick and shit. So they got her. According to writer-director Wes Craven, The Hills Have Eyes was inspired by the real-life story of, God, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right. Sawney Bean, Sawney, the head of the wild Scottish clan who murdered and cannibalized numerous people during the Middle Ages. Craven heard the story of the Bean clan and noted that the road near where they lived was believed to be haunted because people kept disappearing while traveling on it. He adapted the story to instead be about a group of wild people in the American West, and The Hills Have Eyes was born. The scene in which Lynn Wood, played by the beautiful Dee Wallace, discovers a tarantula in the family trailer is a foreboding moment that signals trauma to come, but it wasn't in the script. According to Wes Craven, they simply found the spider on the road during the shoot and they put it in a terrarium and they decided to add it to the film. She didn't actually stomp on the spider though. Because the budget was small, production on The Hills Have Eyes often meant taking risks. The actors performed stunts themselves, sometimes putting themselves in harm's way. During the sequence where the cannibals eat Big Bob, a leg of lamb stood in for human flesh. This was a relief for the hungry actors. At one point, Craven considered having the character of Papa Jupiter eat Katie, an idea which most of the cast disliked. Michael Berryman refused to do the scene, and Craven allowed Katie to survive. That would be gross. No one wants to see that. Most of the cast did their own makeup due to budgetary constraints. Peter Locke, the producer, who also had the cameo as Mercury, was on the film set every day of the shoot, making sure Wes Craven was being productive. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Are you being productive?
Producing something? Yeah,
that like he's actually working, because they were doing 12 to 14 hour days in like 120-degree heat.
Oh, they wanted to get every last fucking drop out of them.
Yeah, so you figure the day.
Yeah,
you figure the day shoots were 120 degrees and it was 12 to 14 hours, and then at night it was like 30 degrees. So
yeah,
it's like no matter what, it was either way too hot or way too fucking cold. So he was making sure that they were getting that shit done as fast as possible. Most of the crew are veterans from Roger Corman's films, which we talked about, I believe, last week. We spoke about Roger Corman and how he's like the king. He was the king of like B films and made a shit ton of people's fucking careers. So the majority of the film crew were veterans of his shit. And they were all originally unenthusiastic about working on The Hills Have Eyes. That changed weeks into the production due to Wes Craven's zeal for the project. The crew came to believe that the film was something special. But that is all the fun facts. What is your spoilery review? What do you like? What do you dislike? Besides Brenda's screaming.
I do agree with you on the acting. I think the acting could have been a little bit better, but it's also budgeting constraints, so I don't feel like they probably did their lines as thoroughly and all that other stuff. And sitting in that fucking heat, I can't imagine those scenes were easy to produce really good fucking footage.
And I mean, fucking Dee Wallace, for what she had to do, was really good. And the dude that played Doug was really good. Like I liked him.
Yeah.
You know?
The other one, what was
It's
the,
good.
the little blonde that cries like a fucking
Brenda.
bun? No, the dude,
Oh, Bobby.
Bobby. Him. I didn't like him at all. I didn't like his character. But I mean, in
Nope.
it was a decent movie. It delivered exactly what you thought. Even looking at the cover poster and stuff like that. It does give you a kind of a depiction of what we do if like we just throw away a piece of society.
Yeah.
If you throw them away to the middle of the whatchamacallit, leave them there, some shit fucking went down. In the remake, I will notice though that they do go more in depth into the what was it called? Not bomb shelter, but the army base.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go a little more in depth than that. You know what I mean? They made it sound like all of this was more due to radiation, opposed to this movie is more of a inbreeding situation.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, in all, I think it's a decent movie. If you're going to be a horror person, get the classics. Hit your. It's just like Vincent Price. You hit your Hitchcock. The Legends, the paving movies. Like
they paved the way for everything.
First one,
yeah,
the very first one.
Well, the new one isn't good, and
no, that one was terrible. Yeah, I got because you only let you buy it when I went to see it. Like I couldn't rent it. I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it. How bad could it be? And I was like, fuck, that is not my Hellraiser.
Well, found out.
Yeah, I was like, that ain't money well spent.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I really as look, if you're just watching a film and you're not sitting there trying to critique stuff, it doesn't fucking matter. Like it's a good movie. It moves quick. Like it's a well-paced film. The script isn't bad. It's just the performances aren't great. But you have to take into account it's the 70s. Instead of shooting on like 35 millimeter like film, they're shooting on 16 millimeters. So like Anthony said earlier, like he couldn't tell if it was like his glasses were smudgy or like what was going on, because the film stock itself, like watching it, you can see like the film stock, you can see all the film grain like moving as it's going through. But what do you expect when you get cameras from a porn set? Like
you get exactly what porn back in 1970s looks like. When it stopped scrambling.
Yeah, but no, it's a good movie. I really like Dee Wallace's performance. I like seeing Dee Wallace. Like most of what I know Dee Wallace from, she's pretty much always been old, and not like old, but like she's always been older and everything. That's just how I know her. Like I didn't watch as many horror movies growing up with Dee Wallace as I had with Jamie Lee Curtis and everything. So it's like I've seen Jamie Lee Curtis since she was a teenager to the woman she is now. Like I've seen all of her films and everything. It's like I know that. Yeah. And with Dee Wallace, it's like I know a lot of her later works, but I haven't seen a lot of her like earlier works. And seeing her in this, it's like, yeah, no, she's still a great actress. Like she's just younger, even hotter, and she's still the same actress. She's not bad. The Brenda chick was fucking awful. Bobby was terrible. I hated the fucking mother. The father was a fucking douchebag.
That Brenda actress is not the age that they were portraying her.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's like it's so weird seeing them be like, oh, they're teenage kids. Well, what do you mean by like 19? 18, because like in the 70s 18 and 19 is like 35, like like things are rough. But no, that's why it's like I can definitely give it a 3.5. I can't really give it a 4 or a 5 because there's no blood.
Like I said, it's not one of those movies.
It's like
do them that much yet. And Craven, I don't think was overly gory.
No, he's really not.
He also Wishmaster.
He might have been. I don't. He's done a lot. He's been involved in a lot of shit. But yeah, it's the dude that played Doug. He was really good. He was believable as a dad. it's a little weird that he's all like, pretty much said any of them that like this shit's going down. It's like, okay, we're gonna plan of attack. We're gonna do this. It's like, were you in the military? Like, I don't understand like what you are, what you do. How do you like? I don't know. It's like if you're not looking at it from like a really nitpicky point of view, the movie's great. It's definitely something to watch. If you want something that's more like gory as a horror film, then you want the remake. You want that one, because that one is the one that's like uncomfortable to look at. It's pretty much the same way with like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, you love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I hate the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I hate the way it's printed. I hate the way it's acted. There's no on-screen fucking deaths. Everything is off-screen. I fucking hate it. It's boring. I don't like it. In the remake, it is bloody as all fucking hell.
All there.
And I love it. I love it so much. But if you want to see a good classic horror film, definitely check this out. I would definitely recommend this, especially over Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that is our take on The Hills Have Eyes. It's fun. Next week we have Death of a Vlogger. So I watched it again last week and I was like, oof, I don't really know if Anthony's gonna like this. But yeah, you'll see. There's someone in it. I was watching it and I was like, ooh, no, I fucking hate this character. I fucking hate this character. Every time they come on screen, I want to punch them in the face every single time. I fucking hate them. And you'll watch it, and next week we will see if it's the same fucking character. But let us pop this up.
Hey guys, Graham here.
So that will be next week's video. Yeah, so that is it for the Spooky Spooky Horror Show podcast. We will be live again on Saturday, and in, what is it, 2 weeks, we will be taking a break, right?
Yeah,
next
the 12th to the 14th.
Next Saturday will be, I think, the 5th or 6th. And then the week after that, you will be away. So it'll give me time to recuperate, probably get some stuff done. But thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by. And we will see all of you next week. Bye.